so much talk that it might be a bit of an overreaction to a defeat in your second game?
The what?
Do you think it might be a bit of an overreaction, all this talk, even if you've not seen it?
You are pessimistic, I'm not.
You always spoke with great respect about Ed Woodward, your executive vice chairman. I imagine the relationship with him is fine.
Of course.
No problem at all.
No.
Jose, when Paul Pogba comes out and says the attitude wasn't right after a game like Brighton, well, how does that make you feel as a manager, that you've got this brilliant player that can be exceptional one week and the next week so inconsistent?
Paul has to answer by his words. If you want any explanation about Paul's words, you must get him and ask him.
How do you feel things are in terms of the way you're playing this season?
How do I feel?
How do you feel?
I feel we played well against Leicester and we won. I felt we played bad against Brighton and we lost.
What would you like to see from the players, and what would you like to see against Spurs then? You've got a great opportunity.
I would like to play well and win.
How do you do that after the Brighton game? Do you get them all right again?
It's to play well and win. Don't make mistakes. Play well and win. That's what we want.
Oh, the joys of live radio. You see, I was thrown to that and I was going to segue into the fact that this evening at Old Trafford, Jose's been in very good form, I would say. Smiling, happy. At one stage he went over to Mauricio Pochettino and cracked a few jokes. Yeah. You know, there was some laughs. He's been vibrant, and literally as we were playing that out, Spurs have scored.
Yeah.
50 minutes on the cclock. Harry Kane.
The last thing I heard is come back as well, don't make mistakes. The last thing I heard from Mourinho, and it's come from a set piece, good ball played in, played into a dangerous area. Harry Kane just peels onto the back of Phil Jones. Phil Jones can't get near him, he can't mark him. And do you know what, Joe? No one on the post, no United player on either post, front or back. How many times do we see that happen when there's no one on the post? David De Gea is exposed, and it was a brilliant header. He just takes the pace off the ball, guides it back into the corner. It's a lovely header, really, really good header. And yeah, Tottenham in front here.
Yeah, just JP, just check there, sent you through a message, get you in 1 second. So 52 minutes on the clock. I mean, Phil Jones really let him go, didn't he?
Phil Jones lets him go. Yeah, he doesn't open his body shape. So often you'll hear, I mean, it'd be someone like, we have Gary Breen on a bit, defender, very good at that, Gary Breen. He was at getting his body shape right, feel the striker that's near you, get hold of him if necessary, and then if you're going to jump alongside him, you're almost, it's 2-0. Oh, who's that there? Lucas Moura. Pull back from the right. Christian Eriksen with the lovely pullback. Lucas Moura with the finish into the corner. But just as I was speaking about that goal, yeah, Phil Jones gets it wrong, gets his body shape wrong. He allows Kane just to peel away from him. As I said, the ball made it, but he just guided it back across goal. And it's the same again, really, there. United's back line back along the 6-yard box, and how many times do we see the pullback from the byline? It's catching defences out. Mourinho doesn't look a happy figure on the touchline. Lucas Moura, I think that's his second goal of the season there now tonight.
2 goals in 4 minutes here.
Yeah, well worked. Kieran Trippier with a lovely ball played in behind. Christian Eriksen steps in behind. It's poor defense. It's actually poor defending. Phil Jones gets caught out. He gets sucked under the ball. He gets sucked into the position that Lucas Moura has taken up originally. And then, when Lucas Moura spins off him, he doesn't track the run into the penalty area, and Moura just drives in. So it's poor all round really from United. It's actually Nemanja Matic. Sorry, it's Nemanja Matic that get caught out. So poor goal for United to concede, particularly after us conceding the first one a couple of minutes before it. Yeah.
Like, it's a lovely pullback and it's a good finish, but they're completely opened up down Luke Shaw's side as well. Like, Eriksen just finds himself in oceans.
Yeah, I think they've almost saying to Luke Shaw tonight, we spoke about Luke Shaw, he's doing very well getting forward, but they're saying, right, tell you what, you deal with any sort of threat that's coming down the right-hand side. But the position that both Ali and Eriksen take up, inside forward position in a little triangle off Harry Kane, if you can picture it like that, but the movement is always in to out, so they get themselves in those positions. It's not necessarily the responsibility of the fullback or the wing back or left back as it is for United tonight. It's the responsibility on the midfield to track that run, because Luke Shaw's occupied with the wide men. So overall it's poor from United, that.
Yeah, because they started really well. Lukaku had a really good chance. He was around Lloris, and I mean, not a really good chance, we said before, it was missable but scoreable as well. It was an empty net from an angle and he put it wide with his right foot. United lined up with 4 at the back, Valencia and Shaw, and it was Phil Jones and Smalling in the centre of defence. So a complete change in the centre.
Bailly and Lindelof, we spoke about him over the last couple of weeks, been quite poor, haven't they? And again here, is this 2, 3, sorry? Ali? No, No, it's come to nothing.
United are on the rack here.
Yeah, they're struggling defensively. They've sent a few bodies forward now. They're taking a few more chances, but they're being exposed now. Tottenham are just picking them off.
Well, that was their back four. Their midfield was Pogba and Frej and Matic, and then up top they had Lukaku and Lingard off him. And Herrera, you were saying, had an interesting role. He was sort of a free role. He was trying to drop into the spaces that Ali and Eriksen would pick up.
Yeah, he's got a defensive responsibility within the system. Yeah, not necessarily you could pinpoint him to any position. He sometimes ended up as a back three in United's back four, so he's almost made three centre halves. In midfield at times, if Dele Alli's dropping off, he's trying to get close to him. So he's got a... Usually if you say someone's got a free role, you think of it from an attacking perspective, but he's got a free role from a negative side, because he's trying to basically plug any gaps that United are leaving, and it worked well. There was a good tempo.
He's just been taken off. Alexis Sanchez is coming on. Oh, hang on, has Mourinho sent Herrera back on?
Yeah, it looks that way, yeah. Looks like, I think there's a message to be sent. I think there's a message to be sent here as well.
He sent Herrera back on with a message, or did he? Because the fourth official is now looking at Mourinho as if to say, you told me it was Herrera. Yeah, Herrera's off in the end.
They might have some sort of injury problem here.
But the Herrera thing was working well, wasn't it? Or was it?
Herrera was working well, yeah, it was. They were nullifying threats. The chance that we spoke about Lukaku having, it was a poor pass back from Danny Rose. So that's come from a press from Ander Herrera. And pretty much what I spoke before, though, I think there's just been mistakes made in the game from both sides when they go into the final third. Tottenham here have just been clinical, particularly with the second goal. One chance for Eriksen to pull it back from open play, and Lucas Moura just arriving 6-8 yards out just with a nice finish. OK, 2-0. I'm sure Pat Nevin is watching this game. We'll talk to Pat later on. But back to the Declan Rice situation. So again, Martin O'Neill, if you didn't hear any Martin O'Neill earlier on today, here's the gist.
He is still deliberating, obviously. He is a young man. England have obviously spoken to him, we're aware of that, and I think he's just taking a little bit more time just to make his mind up. Obviously we have played him at senior level, he's done brilliantly for us, met the family, they're really terrific people, and but obviously England, the place of his birth, have talked to him, and we respect that, and obviously, I think he just wants a little bit more time to think about it. I think it's probably to do with the fact that started the season, new manager at club level as well too, trying to cement down a place there, and he's just wants a little bit more time. So I've respected that, and I'm still hopeful, obviously. But I said right from the very beginning, until something is nailed down, then. It's never over the line.
Are you optimistic?
I've spoken to him. I've spoken to the family. The father's an absolute gentleman, and I met him. He's very keen on him to play for us as well too. So, the lad just wants a little bit more time at 19. So I've always been hopeful. I wouldn't tell you what sort of percentage it would be, but I'll just give him a little bit more time.
So that was Martin O'Neill this afternoon. We've talked to Kev about this at length already in the news round, so I don't think we need to reiterate it. Short version is Kev's not impressed. Gary Breen is with us. Gary, welcome along.
Good evening.
Oh, that's a hell of a beard.
Oh, what a beard.
Oh dear, that's very impressive.
Yeah, I've got a bit of man flu, so I'm not really looking after myself too well at the moment.
Is that right?
You're looking well, Gary.
Oh, I don't know about that. Must be good lighting you've got here, guys.
Very striking. So, I mean, everybody's disappointed, and it's. I think we all would agree, like, this business of being able to play in a friendly and then change your country just needs to stop. I mean, it brings the whole idea of international football into disrepute. But we are where we are. I think Kev is almost so disappointed that he's not so sure he would welcome back Declan Rice with open arms. Where are you?
Well, when I initially heard the news today, which we had no idea was going to come, there was no in that he was potentially going to happen. So it was a real shock. And my immediate reaction was disappointment, because I felt like I'd invested in this lad more than any other new boy coming into the squad. And it's a strange thing to say, really, because I've never met him. But I just look back to when you see him initially come in to train, and Kev mentioned it when he went to Cork and trained with the seniors, that moment. And he'd done an interview with the FAI channel. And I could tell straight away then, obviously I've got the usual connection in terms of he's London born. So people make the lazy connection that I'll know exactly what his upbringing has been like, which I don't know at all. Obviously, I'm brought up in London in the 70s and 80s. My mum and dad and all my aunts and uncles are Irish, so I don't know anything other than that. I think his connection is for his grandparents or something like that. But ultimately, what made me buy into him, more so than his ability on the football field, which he's impressed, was his attitude in terms of saying things like hard work gets you further than any about ability or anything like that. And I really bought into it. But ultimately, what I bought into was his desire and the pride in which he felt playing for Ireland. Now, we're talking about a young man who's played for the under-16, so he's built up the affiliation there straight away. And then when that news came through that now suddenly, after playing for the seniors, that he needs more time, I couldn't understand it. That disappointment then quickly turned to anger. And I'm thinking, no, come on. You feel at this stage that I've been hoodwinked. But now, after a couple more hours, I still can't digest it properly. I'm still going to reserve judgment. And I think people will be shocked by this. I want to hear from him. I know Martin O'Neill's telling us what he's thinking and what he's possibly doing and talking to England and stuff like that. But we need to hear it from Declan himself. I need him to categorically come out and say what is the reason for it before we go all in. But ultimately, and Kevin, you both said, Joe, the rule is a complete nonsense. Countries are playing within the rules in terms of taking players from different countries. We've been guilty of it as such, or been accused of it. England have been on the wrong side of it with the likes of Zaha, who would have definitely been in their World Cup squad, if not their team. And he's gone through the system at England, played 2 senior games for them, and now with the Ivory Coast. But I have to hear from Declan himself, bearing in mind how articulate he has been whenever he's been in front of the camera. Yeah,
I just maybe pick up on that point there as well. I think he's spoken brilliantly since coming into the senior squad in particular, even around going back and playing with the 21s, Gary, as well. You spoke there in relation to what it takes to progress to be a professional footballer, first and foremost, and how your attitude has to be. But more so in the fact is and how he's spoken about playing for Ireland, what it means to him, what it means to his family. There's never ever been any sort of debate open for this one. I've never felt that way, that there could be something more sinister involved, that he's going in just to get caps and just play some games.
Can I give you some of what he said down the years? So here he is in June. He's obviously played 3 games for the senior side, Turkey, France and USA. Here's a short clip of Rice in June speaking after the US game.
Did you hear the comments from West Ham that they want you to try or the new manager to make into an England international, and what did you make of it?
No, it was just, he was on TalkSport talking, and it's one of them things, he's just come out and said it. I'm not going to take too much by it, he can say that, obviously that's his opinion, but I'm here tonight, I'm playing for Ireland, and I've just been focused on doing that, playing in the Turkey and France game.
Yeah, the assistant manager Roy Keane spoke to us during the week, and he said he was very surprised by the comments that you're Irish and you're playing for Ireland, which all of us Irish people were happy to hear. You do see yourself as an Irish international, and hopefully once that competitive debut comes, it'll be the end of the question.
Yeah, I think it was off topic, for him to come out and say that. I did hear Roy's interview the other day, but I don't try to think too much about it. I don't want to take too much pressure onto myself or put pressure on myself. Just want to keep playing, enjoying my football, and playing with a smile on my face, and I think that's the main thing I've got to do.
So he doesn't seem there like a child. He's fairly clued in fella. He's effectively rebuking his chairman. I mean, he's actually telling Goal to pull his neck in a little bit, effectively. You look at what he said after his debut against Turkey in March. It brought a little bit of a tear to my eye, singing the national anthem, remembering my nana and granddad. It was a special moment. And, he also said after the US game that I'm focused on playing and enjoying my football. He said, there are 2 games in September. Away to Wales in the Nations League on the 6th and a friendly Poland, and I'm looking forward to them. So that was after the US game.
What's changed?
Yeah.
That is the last moment he was with Ireland. So unless he went back to the hotel that night and something terrible happened, then it's hard to believe that something untoward's happened here, or that there's been any falling out with management. We need to hear from Rice on all that. Absolutely.
Absolutely. But I totally agree with that.
But that that's effectively, that's June 4th. That's his 3rd game. So I mean, there's a narrow window there for him to have a big falling out or an issue with management. O'Neill's come out today and nailed his colours to the mast in a big way. So we do need to hear from Rice. I mean, people, Gary, are pointing to the fact that he's with a new agent over the summer. Like I was reading the Secret Footballer. And he was talking about how, before he was talking about it to somebody from Nike who was looking at an Irish player, and the Nike person was saying, what might this mean if he goes for Ireland or England? And the Nike representative was telling the Secret Footballer, well, if he goes for Nike, he's guaranteed $1 million. Or sorry, if he goes for England, he's guaranteed $1 million from Nike. If he goes for Ireland, we don't really want much to do with him. And people are saying, well, this is what's pulled Rice. His agent has gotten his ear and he's been tugged away. I think, look, 19 and everything, he's going to have to come out here and explain this relatively soon. Martin O'Neill may have forced his hand on that point.
Yeah, listen, we need clarity, because you're right. In terms of that last game against America, where he a standout performance, and he came off full of beans and stuff, delighted with how it's gone so well for him, ultimately on the back of a brilliant breakthrough season at West Ham. And when that happened, I was quite vocal about it, even when Martin O'Neill initially hinted at it in the press conferences leading into this announcement that, you know, it's not quite over the line. I was thinking, well, what are you talking about? Why are you adding fuel to the fire? Like, it's done. He's Irish. He's told us all this is what he wants to do.
Yeah.
But something has happened. I don't know what it is, whether or not he's speaking to England, whether or not it is something like you said there. But ultimately, we need to know. Because if you're asking me in terms of making a opinion based on someone who's making an international decision based on money, then ultimately I would say straight away, well, I'm not interested in him then, because no amount of money can replace playing for your country and the dreams it gave you, living the dream as such, which very few young men get to do. But something's happened. I don't know what it is. Whether it is what Martin has said remains to be seen, but we need to hear from Declan, because it just doesn't add up. And I know that with dual heritage, it's a very, very personal decision. And it's not one that you can say is black and white in any issue, because I remember, and I've said it to Kev before, there was the Gallen brothers when I was coming through with Ireland. Now, two of them declared for Ireland, and Kevin, the youngest, declared for England. Now, if three brothers can make different decisions based on where they've been brought up with their parents and stuff, then it is unique to that person. But this decision being made now by Declan is not in keeping with what we've seen so far. And that's why I'm saying I felt hoodwinked, because I believed him. And I need to hear it from him, because it just doesn't add up.
No, it doesn't add up. I mean, Kev, you're very strong in this. And we were talking earlier, and I was trying to stress the point that nationality and heritage is all very complicated.
I was probably a little bit heads up at that stage. I had you and Richie.
No, Kev, you're right to be.
No, but the thing was, I felt like I was bullied in studio earlier on, Breeny. I had both Joe and Richie both on my case, they've got a different take to me. I take their opinion on it, and I take everyone's different. Everyone's different. Everyone's going to think differently on it. That maybe some might think that he does have the right to make this decision, and he has got time to think about it. In my mind, there is no decision. Once you make your mind up, you have to go with that. There was never any debate. There was never any thought in my mind. There was never any thought in your mind, Gary. There's been very few players.
Aren't you entitled to have some level of thought? Look, I made this point earlier. I won't labour it, but the FAI do have a policy of going for young English players and Scottish players and Northern Irish players and trying to get them. And at that age, you're trying to make it as a pro. It's a great feather in your cap to play international football. So invariably, if England aren't calling, and you might prefer to play for England, perfect world, but you'll still play for Ireland and you'll still be very proud to. But I think if that's the FAI policy, then we do raise the possibility. It happened in Jack Grealish case. It seems to be happening now, where when lads get to 17, 18, 19...
Michael Keane's another one.
Keane, I think it's clear that it does happen, that when you reach maturity and you have options, I would argue you're entitled to say, well, look, I was very young and I need to rethink this now. Now,
I don't agree with that, Joe. I think
that's too straightforward.
I'll take your opinion, and I will take what you're saying to me there. I don't agree with it.
Because I think that's too straightforward. And I would say in Rice's case as well, this isn't Jack Grealish where he's playing in an FA Cup semi-final and all the big English writers are saying he should play for England, let's get him. Declan Rice has played half a game at Anfield, not played very well, and it's not like, he's got the world at his feet. I mean...
Well, he has. But
hang on, let me just finish the point. It's not like everybody's saying get him in the England squad. He mightn't be in the England squad for another few years. At this rate, he could be playing international football. So is it not a very genuine thing that he might be saying, well, I have to go with my heart here? And look, I know the cynics will say it might be his wallet. We do have to hear from him. But look, the FAI have this policy of getting players who are not born in this country to play. When they reach 17, 18, 19, you're going to have moments, I think, where some of them will be entitled to say, just let me think about it. It's not ideal he's played 3 games.
Yeah, okay. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it because you've made that decision. I'd feel used if I was part of that. Yeah. I'd feel used if I was part of one of those squads that he's played in, that he's taken a cap away from me, if I've sat on the bench, if I've not even been picked for the squad. Regardless, I take your point, what you're saying, and you're right. Fair enough. But I would feel used. Generally, I would feel used, and particularly now that you've played for the senior international side, under 21. Yeah. I can stomach it to an extent. I can, with gritted teeth, I'll say, all right, you can play 16th, play 18th, fair enough. Once you're hitting under 21 level, once you're hitting senior international level, there's no debate on it. I'm sorry, but I don't think there is.
The rule needs to be that, as you quite rightly said, you're working hard to secure a pro contract. So invariably, you get it at 18. when you sign that pro contract, alongside that contract should say nationality, and you should never be allowed to deviate from that again.
Yeah.
Now, Joe, you're giving the argument that he's entitled to make his decision, to change his mind, to have a little bit of time. If that is what he is saying, then that is wrong. It's fundamentally wrong that you can put on one shirt and say, do you know what, I'll try on another one. Maybe that will fit me better. We've seen it in terms of players coming into the squads when we played, Kev.
Yeah.
You knew whether or not lads really believed in playing for Ireland or whether or not they saw it as a career move. Now, going forward, once they did declare, I didn't play alongside any Irish player who I didn't feel had 100% commitment to it. But them initially coming in was a career move. We had a scenario where we were preparing as a squad and Clinton Morrison was umming and ahhing about, well, listen, I might play for England, but then I might be out playing a World Cup for Ireland. And we were watching that as a squad as he was debating all this. So it does get you a backup straight away when he comes in.
And there's been others, hasn't there? There's been many others with that, Gary, as well, hasn't there? Yeah.
Of course there has. But that was the one that used to spring out to mind, that we were privy to the decision being made because it was so public, as Clinton's like. He's always talking, isn't he? But it was a case where, and you mentioned other lads who could have played for Ireland, the likes of Martin Keown, who would have been brilliant. People have said about Harry Kane and stuff like that. But once you make that decision in senior football to wear that shirt, you should not be allowed the choice to go back.
No, I agree that. But if he now thinks about it as an adult and says, do you know what, I've thought about it and I'm fully committed to Ireland.
How pissed off would those players feel, though, Joe? That there's part of that squad, maybe even, as I said before, lads that have had a cap taken off them or not been picked because Declan Rice has played those 3 games. You might have an injury. You might only get the chance to play once for your country. You might be fortunate enough to have a career at playing international level. Yeah. There's not many that actually do. There's not many that go on and have 5, 6, 7, 10 caps, whatever it will be. It has to be an honour every single time you play. It has to be that way.
But maybe it was a huge honour for Declan Rice. And when he talked about thinking of his grandmother and playing for Ireland against Turkey, I've no doubt he was genuine. I think he was thinking of his grandparents. His father flew out for the game. It was a massive moment for the family. But identity being this complicated thing, can't he love both countries? Can't he be massively proud to represent both countries?
Do you want to answer that, Gary?
He can love both countries. I'm sure he can, in terms of if his mum and dad are from England and he has that natural affinity to that country. But we're talking about the decisions being made. You chose Ireland. We believed you. If that's the case where you're now saying, no, I want to change back, it shouldn't be his decision. I know you're saying we're all entitled to make decisions, but the law shouldn't allow you to be able to do it.
I couldn't.
It goes beyond the law. It goes beyond the law. It's morally. It's your decision that you've made is a moral decision in my mind.
He made this decision at 18. Is an 18-year-old not entitled to a mistake?
Was he 19 at the time? Actually,
at the end of summer 2017, he's basically 18. Is an 18?
Yeah, but he's made his international debut at 19, though, hasn't he? That's when he's made his debut.
Okay, so is an 18, 19-year-old not entitled to a mistake? We all agree the law should be changed. The law is rotten.
Yeah.
Is the question here, is an 18, 19-year-old not entitled to this kind of a mistake? This kind of a mistake?
Yeah, of course they are. Of course, I take that. I take what you're saying there, Joe. But the decision has been made. 3 months ago, when he was called up for that Turkey game, this conversation should have been had then, before he's actually played, before he's actually put the shirt on, before he's sang the anthem, before he has come out and spoken glowingly about playing and being part of this squad, before he's put himself in that position, because that's ultimately where it's leading to, and how well he's performed last season for West Ham. Before you've actually done these things, before you've actually got to this stage we're at right now, you shouldn't have actually put the shirt on in the first place.
I'll read some text coming in. I'm with you, Kev. Young man has been very disingenuous. See, I don't think he's been disingenuous, but anyway.
Joe, you said that he's been kissing the badge, singing the national anthem. As a supporter now, and I'm sure everyone listening who didn't have the honour of playing for Ireland, do you not, as a supporter, want to know that those 11 men running around in that jersey, it means as much to them as it does to you as a supporter watching them?
Yes.
Or are you able to just say, I don't mind, even if Messi declares for Ireland, I'd take it?
Would you?
I wouldn't. I'm asking Joe.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I thought you said you would take it. I know what Joe would do. Joe would sell himself to the devil if he could, honestly. It's
not fair to use Messi.
But he's right though. He's spot on. The point is so valid.
Sorry, Messi has no ties to this country. Do I think?
Oh
hang on. Do I think he was disingenuous
Joe, if you're
when he
going to
kissed
pull
the
me up
badge
on
and when he
that,
sang the anthem? I don't think he was disingenuous. I think he was very proud in those moments, and I think it was heartfelt.
But if you're proud, then you stick with it. That's the way that I'd see it.
I think you're oversimplifying it.
Is it? Is it?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's that straightforward. I think at 18, 19 you're entitled to go, oh, I love Ireland. I love Ireland and I feel part of there, but geez, maybe I do want to play for England. I think you're entitled to have that moment as you're about to commit.
There'd be many people that would be in agreement with you. I know.
You're not one of them.
I take it. Joe, we're polar opposites on this. You know we are. There's no debate. If you've played at under 21 level, under 18 level as far as I'm concerned, you're not. No.
We're just saying it's about just football, but it's not. We're seeing it in international rugby. We're seeing it. I mean, we've got Owen Morgan, who's the captain of the England cricket team.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a career move, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah. I'll finish that text anyway. Sorry, I rudely cut off the text. I'm with you, Kev. Young man's been very disingenuous. Why bother lining out just to pull this? Young pros are not like regular young people. They've grown up more quickly than most. There is no existential crisis here. This seems calculated to me. James Burrows, I hope Rice never gets called up again. Clearly isn't committed to the cause. Anyone like that should never pull on the green jersey. Even if he chooses Ireland, I never want to see him in green. Stephen McNamara, as someone born and raised in England myself with Irish grandparents, I don't understand how anyone cannot pick Ireland. Rice can't be vilified though. You can't force people to feel Irish. O'Neill should have capped him against Moldova or Georgia. Owen Curran, is there anything to be said about the chance that when he came across in the camp, things didn't impress him, i.e. Martin O'Neill? Patchy O'Shea, great debate in Rice, love the passion of Kilban, have to agree with him, let him off, you make your decision, you stick with it, there has to be a cut-off, one senior cap, regardless of the match, that's it, that's your country. Mark O'Brien says, imagine if you told your wife you were contemplating leaving for someone else, that you had a decision to make, would things ever be the same even if you chose to stay? Cormac says, I'm just leaving, if anyone wanted to jump in there. Kevin's 100%.
Well, I was listening to you earlier, Joe, saying that as a 13 or a 14-year-old boy or girl, if you chose, you had to marry the first person you kissed, essentially.
Yeah.
Argument, so.
Look, I thought there was something in that, but no one else agreed.
That's what Joe did, yeah.
I just thought you want someone to make a decision as a mature, fully informed person. Kevin's 100% right. Oh, bloody hell. Are there any for me? No. Kevin's 100% right. There can be no greater honour than to play for your country. He's nothing more than potential. Let him go.
But there you did. You summed it up there. There is an anomaly in terms of your country if he has dual heritage. Of course it is.
Yeah.
Kev was born in England. I was born in England. There's no dual heritage for us as such. I don't have any aunts or uncles who are English, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So maybe it does feel strange to me. But you still can't get around the idea that, in my mind, listening to Declan, we all believed that this meant everything to him to play for Ireland. He declared for Ireland. And now suddenly, to change it so drastically, you have to just wait until hear from him. Now, if he says exactly, and he says what Martin O'Neill was saying and said, I had time to think about it, even if he does come back, as you quite rightly said, a lot of people writing in, I think a lot of people are going to feel that it's slightly tainted now.
Yeah.
Gary, if he ultimately said, I've thought about this, I want to come back and play for Ireland, I'm fully committed, I just had cold feet, I just wobbled, and whatever. But now I want to come back in, I want to be here for the next 10, 15 years. Do you think, do you know what, fine, no problems? Or has he actually tainted things very seriously here?
I think he will for a lot of supporters because they won't understand that type of mindset. I think, again, though, the supporters, as they always do, will cheer whoever's wearing that jersey, but they won't have the natural affiliation that they've certainly built up over these 3 games, because we've looked at him, seen the way he's played, not just his technical ability, but his desire. But I think looking at it now, I need to hear from the player himself. I think he's mature enough now. We've seen him talk quite eloquently in front of the camera. In the social media world that it is now, even if he doesn't want to do it with reporters, he can do it his own way. He can release a statement of such. But we certainly have to hear from him. There's no doubt about that. But you're right.
What might be acceptable reasons for his deliberations or his cold feet? Give me a list of things that you'd say, OK, fair enough.
Well, I'd be speculating. Because
I know, I'm asking you to though.
No, but the reason I say that, I'd be speculating, Joe, because I can't see anything that would make him change from how adamant he was just weeks ago to now suddenly getting cold feet. What's happened? Like,
fallout with management could be one. There could be,
of course,
agent.
But listen, you can't put words in our mouths.
No, I know.
Something's
I'm
happened. something's happened. It cannot just be that England have suddenly flexed their muscles to say, "Oh, we'd like you to come to us," because, as you quite rightly said, that may never happen as such.
Yeah.
And we're looking at, initially, my only concern for Declan this summer was the fact that Pellegrino took over. I like the fact that he had David Moyes, Stuart Pearce were coaching him. He was going to learn a lot. His breakthrough season could have been built on. But then suddenly Pellegrino is an orthodox back four, brings Balbuena in, brings the likes of the young centre-half from Toulouse in. So he goes down the pecking order. That's the only concern I had from Declan. Certainly not about his desire to wear the green jersey.
My last one, do you both agree that it was right for Martin O'Neill to go public on this today? Because this makes it difficult now for him even to come back. Well, should O'Neill have taken one for the team?
What I would say with this is that Martin O'Neill knows full well what he's doing by saying it the way in which he's done it today. But if this conversation's been had, Martin O'Neill, if he just announces a squad and doesn't say anything, says Declan's got an injury, whatever it will be, he's on the bench at West Ham at the weekend, and there's questions then that this will continue. I'd rather have this transparency. I'd rather it was totally out in the open. Everybody was clear with what decisions have been made internally. Then at least then we can move on from it. I think it's the right decision. I do. I think he's entirely right. And if that is the case, yeah.
Okay, Gary, do you want to give a final thought on all that?
Yeah, full transparency. We have to have it in this modern day. I think you can't keep much away from the supporters as such. Martin's had his say. Declan's got to have his now, and I'd be fascinated to see what he actually does come out with.
Yeah, no, I think we all are at this stage because he really did seem so committed. Gary, thanks a million. Really appreciate it. Cheers.
Pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Gary Breen there giving his thoughts. Kev's still here, obviously. 2-0 to Spurs. This one ticking down into the last 10 minutes. Can't say I was keeping too close an eye out talking to Gary there. Didn't seem to be any major chances.
No, a couple of half chances. Luke Shaw had one, Fredge had one with a free kick that was put into the penalty area. He headed into the side net. And Jesse Lingard had a decent chance with a pullback, but nothing clear cut. No, nothing clear cut.
We'll take a short break. Pat Nevin's going to join us next.
Football on Off the Ball,
in association with the faster than ever Boyle Sports app for exclusive price enhancements on the biggest games around. Download it now. Boyle Sports. Time to play.
Let's talk about sleep. Lucy Wolf, paediatric sleep consultant, how are you?
I'm very well, how are you?
This is, as we were talking earlier on, a difficult time of the year. And you were saying just, bring the sleep pattern back 15 minutes a night until you get to the actual night.
A desirable time,
There's no point in leaving them up till 10:30 on Tuesday if you need to get them in bed for 8 on Wednesday.
Ideally not.
Hear the full Pat Kenny Show podcast at newstalk.com and on the Newstalk app.
With the TC Matthews sale on, now is the time to give your home a makeover. We'll help you find the right carpet, rug, wood or luxury vinyl flooring to enhance your space. There's huge reductions in store and free underlay on most of our luxurious stock carpets. Available in stores right now. The TC Matthews sale is now on. T's and C's apply.
Looking for an amazing, affordable place to stay in Galway this summer? Then book into Sweet Bohermore, self-catering and one-bed apartments, just 10 minutes walk from Ayr Square. With 24-hour reception and free parking, Sweet Bohermore is the perfect base for the Arts Festival, the Galway Races, or just to enjoy the crack. Find us on Facebook at swuite.com.
Off the Ball. This is News Talk.
Slightly later than usual, Pat Nevin is with us. Pat, apologies. Declan Rice swept in this afternoon unexpectedly and took some of our attention, but you're there now.
Definitely, I'm here now.
Pat.
Yeah. Who are you lot having to watch it happen the other way around for once?
Oh, Pat, I tell you, it's a sombre studio this evening. Honestly, it has been a sombre studio. I've been getting a bit of stick from both Joe and Richie earlier on as well, so it's been quite a hard night.
No, the vast majority of people are with you, to be honest. Look, to a point, I absolutely understand where you're coming from. There's an element of playing devil's advocate here to try and tease out the conversation. I totally have sympathy with how you feel about the situation. I think we've talked enough about it, though, for one night.
We get Pat just wants to come on and mock us. That's all he wants to do.
Yeah.
Honestly.
No, it's just as painful the other way around. You take Ray Houghton, you take John Aldridge from England, and the list goes on and on and on.
Thanks for James McCarthy. Appreciate that one.
Yeah, thanks, cheers.
So I presume, have you been watching some events at Old Trafford, Pat?
I've been watching it all until
great.
the last 2 or 3 minutes there. It's kind of a tough one. I mean, it'll be picked apart for ages and ages. I don't know how you both felt, but certainly the defending from the Manchester United centre-halves obviously isn't great, even though there's 3 of them. But there was a moment for the second goal when the ball was played down the line, and everyone's going to have a go at Herrera for not making a challenge, which he didn't. He kind of seemed to bottle out of a tackle against Moura. But there's a moment on the right-hand side where Smalling runs up to try and get the team offside. There's a player 10 yards behind them. It's unbelievable. You cannot believe how mad that defending is. And Mourinho's sitting there thinking, yep, told you to get some centre halves. Having said that, plenty of people will say, well, you bought 2 of them.
Yeah, the second goal in particular was one. It's just a catalogue of errors. There's so many mistakes in the build-up to the goal, and it just looks so easy how Spurs get into position. But if you watch it back, the mistakes are fairly dreadful, really.
It's bordering on amateurish. It's really, really
they're in again here, Pat. 3-0 to Spurs. Unbelievable. Lucas Moura again. It's such bad defending. United have got a 4-on-2 defensively. Spurs' 2 players in the attacking positions are Harry Kane and Lucas Moura. And Lucas Moura just drives, continues to run forward. He doesn't have any real support other than Kane to his right-hand side, but he's not in advance to the ball. And he just glides past. I think it's Victor Lindelof. Victor Lindelof makes such a weak challenge. Then all of a sudden he's one-on-one with David De Gea, and he just smashed it past him. It's such a simple goal, and it's come from United in an attacking position as well. Well played, Harry Kane, who sets him up. But
it's a one-on-one here.
United so badly exposed. It's actually Chris Smalling, isn't it? He's one-on-one with Chris Smalling, and it's so bad defending. It's just dreadful defending.
I just mentioned Smalling's defending before that there. That, you know, positionally, it's unthinkable that he's doing that. People will have a go at Mourinho to some degree because, you know, he started almost with 3 centre-backs because he's got Herrera as the right centre-back, sort of half centre-back alongside the 2 of them at the start. But it's clear that he's just not happy what's in that central area.
Yeah.
And it's damned obvious tonight why.
This thing has suddenly become theatre in a bad way. They've cut to Ed Woodward watching in the crowd.
Yeah.
3-0 has a certain gravity to it. The first half they seemed to be doing okay, no? Or was this coming?
No, I think there were lots of decent things about the game. The pace was okay.
Yeah.
Even at the start of the second half, before the first goal, the Harry Kane goal goes in, you know, they're getting around the place. It just seems there's a lack of real quality.
Yeah.
You're looking at other teams.
There's a lot of mistakes in the game, Pat, wasn't there? You know, there's really good tempo to the game, but a lot of loose passes continue throughout the game. That was kind of the theme. Even Tottenham probably were at fault with that as well. But United, so many loose passes in key positions, I felt, throughout.
Yeah, I mean, well, summed up by the Danny Rose back pass, and then that Lindelof one when he came on, that back pass. I mean, what on earth was he thinking about then? He got away with it because Dele Alli couldn't put it in. But if you think about it, Spurs have scored 3. Dele Alli probably ought to have scored that one when he's gone round the hair, just at the second half there. And of course, Harry Kane had that header at the back post, which 99 times out of 100, Harry Kane scores. So 3-0, it could have been a lot worse, actually. So it's a horrible night. So oddly enough, you know, the energy levels are fine for Manchester United. That's all okay. But the defence just looks a shambles at the moment. And for Manchester United to lose 3 goals in 2 games in a row, one of them at home, that's unthinkable. And forget Manchester United, for Jose Mourinho team to lose that is unbelievable.
That's the extraordinary thing. Plenty of red seats popping up, as you can imagine now. The place is emptying out with 4 minutes of normal time to go, so it'll be interesting to see what he says afterwards.
United fans got right behind the team for a long time, and even when it 2-0 there, they were doing their best to get behind their team to see if they could get a fight back. Mourinho had asked for that before the game. But you need real quality there to be able to do it. And did he make 6 changes, I think it was today? And it just tells you there's no certainty, no knowledge of what's the best. And it's just sad when you see some of the players like Sanchez, who was such a special player.
Yeah.
And he just looks like a bit ordinary player at the moment.
Does 3-0 at home bring a sacking into the equation?
It'll be mentioned. It's certainly one that gets mentioned, isn't it? That is the thing. Yeah, United, of course, no matter what it is, you're still Manchester United. You're playing at home. You're 3-0 down, offering very little really in the second half attack-wise. So I doubt this is going to be the nail in the coffin, but it's certainly leading towards it. You said before, there's a story now building here that's been building in the last 10 days or so. This is just going to it is going to gather momentum off the back of this.
It's certainly harder to sack someone of Mourinho's stature than, I don't know, David Moyes in this scenario, Pat. It would certainly be talked about.
Yeah, no, people will mention it in the newspapers. I don't think there's a shadow of a doubt about that. And certainly phone-ins, everything. It will be a discussion point. I think it's a perfectly acceptable discussion point just now. It's going to cost you a hell of a lot of money to do that.
Yeah.
Also, on top of that, you've got to think you better have somebody hell of a good ready to come in as well. Everyone at the moment seems to be talking about Zidane as a possibility of that. But it's 3 games into a season. It's after a season of a World Cup. There's a number of World Cup players that are playing in that United side. So he's got a reason to argue against it. It's only 2 defeats.
Yeah.
I personally wouldn't do it. I think it's mad to go this early and do something like that. But I can understand why people are having the discussion.
Kev, you watch Wolves 1, Man City 1. Is there anything here for Man City fans to worry about?
Good game. Brilliant game, actually. Really enjoyed it. Probably the fact is Vincent Kompany. Vincent Kompany struggled, I think, throughout, particularly in the first half. Got caught out in possession a few times. It was a change of style for Wolves. If anyone would have seen Wolves, I know you would have seen them, Pat, over the last year. How they play under Nuno Espirito Santo. They dominate possession. They make the pitch so wide and expansive. They didn't do that at the weekend. They sat in a little bit narrow. The possession stats, as it turned out, they had less than 30%. It's about 28% they had at the weekend. It was a back 5, 4 players sat in front with Jimenez up front, and it was 5-4-1 essentially. So again, different sort of style of playing, but they created so many chances off the back of that with the pace that they had in the side, the pace of Helder Costa, Jota, the two, or Jota, I think it is pronounced it, with the class from behind of Ruben Neves and Martinho.
Yeah.
Those are the key players that kind of supported Jimenez up front, who played as that lone striker, and it was really good to watch them and how they went about it. There wasn't too much wrong with City, I have to say that. I think City produced, they created a lot of chances in the game. Excellent to watch at times. Should have won the game, I thought, with the chances that they actually did create. Rui Patricio made one of the best saves you're ever likely to see from Raheem Sterling in the match. Probably should have had a penalty, Man City. Aguero hit the bar and post. So City will probably say they created enough chances probably to win the game, but Wolves are very impressive, yeah.
Pat, you did Chelsea for us yesterday, and we were touching on the fact that Chelsea's supposedly up for sale. Roman Abramovich, the visa situation, we talked about that as well. I mean, certainly being the owner of Chelsea for him is a lot less fun, not least because he can't really go to many of the games, it seems, or get too involved, and the stadium work is on hold. Then Chelsea have denied that the club is for sale today, so we're not too sure where we are there, state of limbo.
I think possibly every business just about on the planet, apart from Amazon and Google, are probably for sale for the right price. So it really depends, what comes in. But at the moment, it's quite early after the visa stuff with Roman Abramovich. You never know, that might get sorted out. That might adapt things a little bit in his thinking. But that side of it, if it stays the way it is just now, it's kind of hard for Abramovich. I mean, taking nothing away from it, yes, I can feel the tweets and the texts coming now that some people don't like the concept of what he sees as a Russian oligarch and how he got his money. But really, just take it from his point of view. That's the most interesting thing just now, because he is the guy that will make decisions. From his point of view, you're right. What can he see of his investment? Well, he has to see it in a yacht sitting off a bay in Monaco. That's not as much fun when you've paid £1.1 billion out of your pocket to go and see it and enjoy it. I don't think the last 3 or 4 years have been as enjoyable. There have been trophies, there have been titles. But they've been stressful, and certainly with the management, it's tough. And if you are a chairman or an owner or somebody, you want to have a good relationship. You want to go and enjoy it. And I don't know if it's been as enjoyable. And oddly enough, in the midst of all this, Chelsea's enjoyable again.
I was going to say, Pat, has that been the sole purpose of the appointment of Maurizio Sarri then? Just simply to get the team being more attractive and playing a style of football that Roman Abramovich or whoever it would be that's above him have actually wanted for such a long time? Is that the sole purpose of this appointment?
I would say it's the main. I wouldn't say it's the sole purpose. It's the main purpose of it. One of the purposes is trying to keep on the coattails of the top 3 teams. And Sarri has shown with what he's done in Italy that he can do that, but he can also do it in an exciting, entertaining, enjoyable style. So that's a part of it, without a shadow of a doubt. You have a look at his history of what he's like to work with, although there's been a fallout near the end with Napoli. Before that, he was... how do we explain this? There were flaws in some of the things he said, and I think he needed to bring himself into the 21st century a wee bit. But he's apologised for the things he got wrong. But he does seem a fun guy to actually work with, and he gives that pleasure on the pitch. Now, you know, whatever you do, if you go to see a movie, you go to see a band, you want to go and enjoy yourself. Well, football's an entertainment as well. And it is for Roman Abramovich. And even though he has put that huge amount of money and investment in, he's got a hell of a lot more than that. And it's more than a drop in the ocean, but it's still only a very small percentage of what that guy owns and what that guy's worth. So he wants to go and enjoy that. And I think for a long time it was. And I was mentioning to the guys yesterday as well. One of the big things about it is Roman always come across to me as quite a shy guy. When you talk to him, he's quite nervy and quite shy when you talk to him. And I think he just loved the idea. He used to hang out with JT and Frank Lampard and these guys. He was really quite taken by them. But I don't know if he feels quite the same with the current players, but we'll see if that changes.
Yeah, he did certainly seem very close to that initial batch. So the other fallout from that game was that Rafa Benitez took a huge amount of criticism, even half-time on Sky Sports. I know you and Dave were doing the game first. I flicked on Sky during half-time as well, and they weren't impressed with how Rafa went about his business. I thought it was fair enough under the circumstances, no? Yeah,
I was just as angry. I was at the game when Man City went up to Newcastle and played, and I was furious with Newcastle on that day, because they played that 5-4-1, which Kev was talking about there. You know, but they didn't try and get anyone up to help the one on that occasion. They didn't want to attack. On this occasion, it was quite well organised. You know, they really sat back. But when they did get the odd ball forward, 2 or 3 did try to hammer forward, and they were playing for corner kicks and free kicks, and they had a big height advantage. So you could absolutely see the thinking behind it. Now, they get beat 2-1. They almost got the draw 1-1. You know, they almost worked in an odd way. They lasted most of the match with Chelsea. It was a very limited amount of chances. So, you know, in this occasion, and I have to be utterly fair about it, there are managers that do it and drive me absolutely nuts. On this occasion, when you've had to make 6 changes, if you're Newcastle, you're against a Chelsea team that's flying at that point in time, and you've got a game plan that nearly actually comes off. I find it hard to be as harsh on Rafa Benitez in this one. Having said that, other managers that don't go and have a go, yeah, they infuriate me, and I'd get angry with them, but I wouldn't be as hard this time.
Okay. Meanwhile, Unai Emery got his first win as Arsenal manager, 3-1. All the headlines, all the fallout is about the relationship with Mesut Ozil, who reported in with a cold on Friday. Emery made a point of saying it was a cold, which doesn't really... Yeah, I'd say a cold sounds kind of manageable and surmountable. It wasn't like he was incredibly ill, and Ozil was around the dressing room on the Saturday. He was well enough to be at the game. So that's there. He was subbed, obviously, against Chelsea. There's reports of a training ground fallout, or certainly words between the two. If Emery is going for this high-pressing, high-energy approach long-term, it's kind of hard to imagine Ozil in the midst of that. I mean, are we watching this one kind of head towards a January farewell, or can Ozil actually play for Emery?
In reality, if he did go in January, the amount of money that Arsenal would want for him, and his wages on top of that, how many clubs in the world can actually afford to go and outlay that amount and think they'll get the value for money for it? I'm just absolutely not convinced by it. Yeah. You look at, I don't care about the name, I don't care the background of a player. I look at what he's doing, and he's not doing enough. They looked a better team with him, without him playing. I know he's a fantastic player with fantastic skills. You always add that little bracket afterwards. It doesn't matter if you're not adding anything or enough to the team. And you know, they get Ramsey comes in and is more energetic and gets about the place more, and there's a livelier, sharper look to the team. Well, of course, it doesn't matter who the player is. You know how important he's seen. You know, it doesn't matter in the slightest. He's got to get dropped. And if you don't leave him out, it has a negative effect, a horrible negative effect, and everybody else around it. So, oddly enough, he's one of the players I think people get too worked up about.
Yeah.
You know, there's plenty of other players who get, you know, rested or, you know, get dropped and they go through bad form and you just leave them out. And there's no big headlines about it. For some reason, there's more about him than I think he deserves at the moment.
There's certainly something in his body language which seems to spark off something. I know you didn't see it, Pat, obviously, but full time at Old Trafford and kind of striking scenes from Jose Mourinho. The place had largely deserted, lots of red seats. He walked down to the Stretford end by the tunnel, and I would say for a good minute to 2 minutes, a long time, stood there just applauding the Stretford end.
It's almost like a goodbye. You could be mistaken for thinking that, couldn't you?
It's either a goodbye or he's making a point of saying, well, at least you lot stayed and the vast majority cleared out. Now, they were giving him a very good reception back, but I mean, it's just part of the drama that your club gets sucked into with Mourinho. He's so divisive on a host of levels.
And it will always be the case. It's not just Manchester United, as we know. It's not just Chelsea twice. It is everywhere with Jose Mourinho. And that's all perfectly fine when you're winning. But it isn't when you're losing. People just get fed up of it really quickly. I suspect it's more to do with turning around and saying, thanks, you guys stuck with us.
Yeah.
I mentioned it a few minutes ago. It was really noticeable how much they stuck alongside the manager for that period of time, considering how much everyone else, well, not everyone else, but a lot of people seems to be against him. So, you know, maybe it's that more than anything else. But you just never know in this game. I wouldn't make any predictions in Jose Mourinho ever, and even with top clubs, because we know what happened. We know what happened with Chelsea. He won the league, and then was a very short time later he was sacked from that as well. Yeah. So, you know, people just don't like working with people that rub them up the wrong way. So I wouldn't be shocked by the. Slightly going back to the Arsenal thing, for all the Arsenal stuff, they looked okay. I was at that game, and they just looked okay. They didn't look a great side, and they'll do very well to get in the top four.
Pat, sorry, a bit shorter than usual this evening. Thanks so much.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Pat.
Pat Nevin there. Short break.
Off the ball on News Talk.
You're in Ireland's hidden heartlands, in the charming village of Clondra, County Longford, looking out over the harbour. Do you hop on a cruiser, testing your sea legs on the Royal Canal? Grab a bike, racing down the Greenway. Or stop by Tarmanbarry for something tasty first. Never explore on an empty stomach. Ireland's hidden heartlands, yours to uncover. Find out more at discoverireland.ie.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
So Spurs go level with Liverpool, top of the table, 3 games, 3 wins. Watford are up there as well.
Yeah.
Liverpool,
Watford, by the way. Watford
really good. We'll do a piece on them. Did you see Liverpool? I watched the second half. The second half was very slow by their very high standards.
Brighton nullified them. They dropped deep. Brighton didn't really offer an awful lot from an attacking side, but Liverpool got the job done. Great finish from Salah, wasn't it? Lovely finish.
Yeah. Klopp afterwards said nobody's quite fit yet either.